Welcome to this month's Microsoft Student Accelerator session. This month's focus is on early in professions. We have a lovely cohort here today that have recently joined Microsoft as part of early in professions. And just by definition as well, that just means that they have a few years of experience under their belt. But just like many of you on the call today, they were also once university students not too long ago.
Yeah.
So I can see everyone has put in the chat where they're from, what uni they're at, and also what they're studying. Keep that coming as well to get some engagement going on. Cool. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to our community. We pay respect to them, their culture, and to the elders, both past and present. So I am the host for today. Just a little bit about me. My name is Chloe. I am a co-pilot technical specialist. I started at Microsoft about exactly a month ago, I think now. And just like many of you on the call today, I was a university student. I studied at UNSW with a Bachelor's of Commerce and Information Systems, and I graduated at the end of last year. Since then, I was at a graduate program for a different company before joining Microsoft last month. So going through the agenda for today, the first thing we'll talk about is just some Microsoft Student Accelerator reminders, followed by a panel speaker session with our early in professions cohort. And then we'll leave some time for Q&A as well if you have any questions you'd like to ask us. So the first thing is a reminder about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. If you wish to become a student ambassador, there is a link on the screen right there to apply. If you don't know what it is a program that's designed for students that are passionate about technology and eager to share their knowledge with other people. You can develop your technical skills, but also your leadership skills through AI-driven projects, setting up like workshops and creating video tutorials. So there is a link on the screen right there if you wish to apply as an ambassador. The next reminder is just about the Microsoft Learn Student Hub. So there's a ton of free resources on here for students where you can access things like interactive learning parts, modules, and skilling events. Again, the link is on the screen here with the /training and student hub. And a key call out from Microsoft Learn Student Hub is that there is discounted certification exams, and that's something that I wish I would have known about as a student, that you can get discounted certifications. You can also get like free Azure credits and also access to over 55 Azure services. A key call out as well is the GitHub Student Developer Pack that a lot of students enjoy. It's a fantastic resource if you're eager to learn about software development and also just practice your skills. So all our sessions are recorded as well. They are also uploaded on Michelle Sanford's YouTube channel. There's a link at the bottom there. We also have technical workshops as well. For example, this one is the more business and non-technical career playlist. That's all uploaded on here, this session and the previous sessions. And here we have MSA Tech, which is the technical workshop playlist. I think these sessions run after this session. Feel free to like her videos, Michelle's videos, and also subscribe to her channel to stay up to date with all the videos that get uploaded onto there. There's also a Microsoft.source newsletter, which is curated content for the developer community. So if you're interested in learning about new technologies and want to find opportunities to connect with other developers, this is a really good source. You'll also find information about things like hackathons, technical training sessions, and global developer conferences. So I'll just leave that QR code up for a little bit if you want to grab your cameras and take a picture of that. Cool. Has everyone got that down before I move on? If anyone needs a couple of seconds. And keep your cameras ready. We've got some more QR codes. If you want to keep up to date with what's coming, watch your emails. And also on the left, we have a link to the Facebook page for Microsoft Student Accelerator. And also on the right-hand side is the link for the LinkedIn page for Microsoft Student Accelerator. So this is where you can stay up to date on announcements for different events, learning opportunities, and also workshops. Lastly, something really exciting is that we also have in-person events. So if you want to stay up to date with our in-person events, feel free to scan the code on the right-hand side. A key call out is that next week, next Wednesday, we actually have a MSA Melbourne meetup at the LinkedIn headquarters on the 11th of December. So you can sign up your attendance through there if you're based in Melbourne. I'll leave the QR code up there for a couple of seconds as well before we move on. All right, just moving on to the panel discussion. So I'd like to welcome Joe, Shifali, and Sunny to the panel. They are also new starters to Microsoft. Joe, Shifali, and Sunny, would you like to come off mute and introduce yourselves?
Sure thing. I can go first. I guess my picture's first. So it's lovely to meet you all. So I originally studied at the University of Queensland, and I studied a dual degree of business management and science. And I then became a graduate at KPMG, which is a big consulting firm. And then I've just recently, similar to Chloe, just joined Microsoft about a month ago. So really excited to be here and to talk to you all today. I'll pass to Shifali.
Thank you, Jo. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session. I graduated from La Trobe University, Melbourne, and then I started working as an intern as a graduate in BMW head office. Since then, I have some experience in cyber, some IT, mix and match. So looking forward to assist you in any way. You can also reach out to us on LinkedIn if you have got any questions of the sessions as well. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Sunny.
Hi everyone, I'm Sunny. I guess actually I'm not a new starter here because I've been with Microsoft for over 5 years, but definitely like before 5 years, I also joined Microsoft through the undergraduate program at Taiwan. So yeah, happy to be here, in the session to just share my experience, and also like if you have any questions, feel free to answer any questions. You can just put it in the chat, or if you want, connections after the session, also happy to be connected. Can reach me out through the LinkedIn or any social media. Yeah, so I'll hand it over to Chloe.
Cool, thanks everyone for your introductions. So we're going to get started with the panel discussion. I've got a couple of questions I'd really like to ask. Maybe something for the students is, can you share your journey from university to Microsoft and what motivated you to join this wonderful company? Question for anyone.
Okay, I can go. So since I mentioned that working as a technical intern at BMW was my first job, so it was my first IT break. So it was an awesome introduction to the professional world, and I learned a ton. So that internship taught me a lot about problem solving and attention to detail, as well as the importance of teamwork. So I think that all that experience actually laid a great foundation and gave me the confidence to take on the new challenges in life. Apart from that, I always was, and I always am eager to learn more and more. I guess in technology, it's never sufficient. So it's like huge, it's massive. So the growth mindset is very important. And if you have that spirit to learn more, and if you have got that curiosity to learn more every day, you will definitely land a good job. So nobody can stop you. Nobody, trust me, nobody. So it's just in your head that you have to put it that you can do it, and I'm sure you will do it. So for that, it's not that I didn't put any efforts or something. I was doing certifications. I was learning on LinkedIn. I was learning on Udemy and YouTube. So the continuous learning was something that was embedded in me, and that actually helped me to get a job here. And that's why I'm in this session, in this panel. So all the best to you guys as well. Thank you.
Cool. Joe and Sunny?
Okay,
Sure.
maybe I'll go next.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you go, Sunny.
Yeah, anyways, for me, I guess the journey was probably like because my major was computer science and information engineering when I was in uni, but I wasn't like specifically interested in becoming like a software engineer because I knew that I prefer like a customer facing role, and like Microsoft is a super, resourceful, and also I really like the Microsoft culture here. So at that time, I just, applied for the university recruiting program, and just luckily I got selected and for a customer facing technical role here at Microsoft. Yes, so it's a lovely experience, and I think Joe will be able to share more because definitely your hiring is more recent than mine. Hand it over to you, Joe.
Thanks, Sunny. So I guess I have a little bit of a non-traditional pathway as to how I got here because I didn't study a technical degree in technology. And so I guess for me, I was at university. I think you guys are already doing so well being here today at all. I sort of didn't even know that forums like this existed at the time. So you should really feel proud of yourselves that you're even here right now. And then I was just applying for graduate roles. I studied business and science. I was looking sort of in either area. And I landed a job, as I mentioned earlier, at KPMG. And I was really fortunate at KPMG to have an opportunity to work closely with Microsoft in the role that I was doing. And it was working with Microsoft that I saw just how all the people I was working with were so driven and so positive. And I really saw that the company culture at Microsoft sort of shines through from working with them. So, and then I saw a role advertised at Microsoft, 2 months ago, and I just had to apply. So that's sort of how I've ended up here in a little bit of a meandering roundabout way.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing your experiences. I think a really key call out that Shifali made is about that growth mindset. We live and breathe that growth mindset here at Microsoft. So that's something that they definitely look for. I think as well, Sunny and also Joe both also have very vastly different experiences. One is more technical and one perhaps didn't study anything related to technology, but still ended up here, means that they really do value your experiences, even if perhaps you didn't study technology. So awesome. Another question that I've also got is for Joe, since you mentioned that you just recently started, what advice do you think would you give to students that are just starting their careers or perhaps considering joining Microsoft?
Great question. And I have been having a little bit of a think about this one, and I'm going to touch again on the growth mindset that Shifali and Chloe were both just talking about. And I'll clarify a little bit about growth mindset. Rather than, coming into a job, thinking that you know it all, it's really important at Microsoft that you have the perspective of trying to learn it all and having a really growth mindset where you're open-minded and open to learning new things and trying new ideas and trying to be innovative. So when we're talking about a growth mindset, that's sort of what we're talking about. And I think that that's probably the most important thing for anyone who's considering, joining a career, whether that's at Microsoft or at another company. It's just being really interested and really curious. Like I mentioned, getting involved in, whether it's student societies or events like this, or heading online to Microsoft Learn or many of the other learning resources that are available to you, like just being really curious. And I think having that growth mindset is really the first start to kicking off your career and putting you, in a good stead for securing a job wherever that job might be.
I really like how you said that even joining this session is a form of curiosity. So all the students here, that is amazing that you are already showing a growth mindset and a curiosity mindset too. And for Joe as well, since you didn't study a technology related degree, but you did end up at Microsoft. What kind of advice do you have students that may be on this call that perhaps didn't study technology?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I guess when I was at university, I never thought that I would end up working for a technology company. It kind of had never crossed my mind that this could happen. But what I have realized over the past couple of years is that, regardless of what you study, you could be studying, marketing or the most technical, technology degree that's out there. But no matter what you study, you're learning really amazing fundamental skills. And, whether it's how to research, how to write reports, how to write essays, how to respond logically to questions, managing stakeholders. Like, you're learning so many skills, regardless of what you're studying at the moment, that are really transferable across roles. And so it's sort of, again, it's that growth mindset and those fundamental skills that could be transferred into any company and anywhere you sort of dream to go, in a way. So my advice would just be, to be really curious and look for those areas where you can transfer those skills and, use the skills that you've developed over the past couple of years, at university, and apply those to different roles that maybe you had never considered before.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Joe. Question for everyone too is, did you do any specific classes or maybe like extracurricular activities that you would recommend students that really help them give that boost in their career?
I don't want to make this the Joe show, but in my previous role, I was really impressed by. I worked closely with university students at my old role as well, for context, and so people who came to interviews or just to forums like this and said, they'd done case study competitions, or they'd done, they traveled the world, like doing something that they were passionate about. Really, for me, I think it's just having a passion and getting involved in, whatever activities sort of take your fancy, whether that's forums like this or case studies or, whatever it is. What about Shifali? I feel like you'd have an interesting perspective on this.
This might be interesting. When I was working with NVN, my role was to actually take care of RSA Archer. So that's like a GRC platform, just for everybody's knowledge. But then I was always curious to know what SOC is. So I reached out to some other team who, like, I didn't know anybody from the team. I just checked with my manager, hey, I'm interested in learning about SOC. In the future, I might go into SOC. I'm not too sure, but still, I would like to actually see how the things go. So I started getting into the sessions which the SOC team was holding, like just on shadowing perspective or something. And you will not believe me on this. I just had like 2 months session with the SOC team. And in the third month, I was like confident that yes, I can be in SOC, that I have got some basic level of knowledge that is sufficient for now. So after that, I was hired into a SOC team in Monash University. So like that again, the game again comes to that growth mindset. If I was not making enough efforts of learning about more of SOC, because that was of my interest, so I would not have got a job in Monash University. So since I was curious to know how the things work, how they do it, what things they do, what things they avoid in SOC, so I was good in that. So that's why I had like a job opportunity at my next company. So yeah. Thank you.
Cool. And what about you, Sunny?
I'll probably, share more on the technical side because I came from a computer science background, and I would say like if you want to apply for a technical role, I found out that the basic like IT courses are really helpful because I didn't expect those classes would be so useful for me in the future. Some mandatory courses like computer networks or even operating systems just turn out to be really helpful, for my role now. So I think definitely there's a reason that they're mandatory. So if you are, just trying to figure out and also try to plan what you're going to study in the future, I think those courses could be something good to start with. Yeah, just share from my experience.
Thanks for sharing. I think something that I've found was really interesting in everyone's responses is that it's both a mixture of learning technical skills, but also soft skills. So like Joe mentioned, things like doing case competition, and Shifali mentioned things like shadowing. So it's just the act of doing, but also supplementing things with like technical courses that Sunny mentioned, which I think was really helpful. Cool. Another question that I've also got is, can you share any tips, maybe how students can build a strong professional network whilst they're still in university? Pass this to Sunny to answer this question.
Yeah, cool. Happy to take this one. I think a lot of people will probably say, actively engage in many programs will definitely help. But personally, I think I would suggest, just get yourself a mentor because, like, for example, if you think this person is really your role model, I guess what you can do is just reach out to them and then ask like if they're willing to be your mentor. Because I think, first of all, it's super helpful in terms of building a strong network because like mentorship will help you, develop a really deep connection with your mentor. And then secondly, your mentor could also help you to expand your network, right? So I guess my suggestion will be if you don't know where to start, maybe there are a lot of online platforms like ADP List or even LinkedIn. Just reach out to someone, I guess, people will be happy to help you.
Really great insights talking about having a mentor to really guide you. I think a mentor as well doesn't necessarily have to be your manager as well. It could be someone that you really look up to and that you really find something that they have that is really admirable and you can ask them to be your mentor. Cool. Another question that I think a lot of students would be really interested in is how did you secure your role at Microsoft and what was the application process like? Shifali.
Thanks for that, Chloe. Okay, so I will discuss some insights about the application process. First of all, you have to search for a role that is actually relevant to you and to your profile. Just don't apply to any job at Microsoft because at the end you have to show the results, you have to bring the outcomes that will actually decide how you're performing. So yeah, never do that. Search for the role. Do actual good searching on the job description, what things are included in it, what's the ask in the JD. So once you do that, so I'll share my experience, what happened with me. So I applied for a role and then I got shortlisted among like so many other candidates. So after that, I got a call from Microsoft Recruiter, and then it was like a short call, Teams call, and then he wanted to know about my experience and how my profile was aligned to the role that I have actually applied for. If suppose I was applying for a role that was not completely for me, they will obviously get to know because recruiters are smart. So don't try to be over smart in that. So try to only show what actual things you would bring to the role and to the table. So after that call, I was invited for another round that was like a case study. So depending on the role, you will get some like maybe a technical question round or maybe a case study. So after that, like for case study, I will be very honest. I went through Microsoft Learn. I went to Microsoft cultural values and everything. Like all these things for Microsoft were on my tips because I really wanted to get this job. So again, after that, at the application process, the case study and everything. So that was my final round. And in some cases, you will have the HR round as well. But in my case, I think both HR and technical round were in like one single step. So yeah. So all these things will actually show that what kind of capability you have in yourself. So always try to be yourself during the interview as well. So never try to fake it because people will get to know because they have got like a lot more experience than you do. So definitely they're gonna pick on the things. And if you are like amazing and the profile is relevant to you, they're gonna see that as well. And it's at that time you will actually smash it and get the role. Otherwise, don't fake it. That would be my personal advice to you guys.
Thanks for sharing your application process, Shifali. And I really like the advice that you gave about authenticity. It's really important to be your authentic self and just be who you are, because the managers can and stuff like that, they can just see right through that. So it's really good if you can show your true authentic personality. And Shifali as well. So I'm sure thousands of applicants applied for the role. How did you make yourself stand out in the interview?
I think the previous experiences that I had had in my resume that really worked for me, and also networking is very important, guys. I can't stress enough on that. Network, network, network. If you see there is a job at your dream company and it's relevant to you, reach out to people. You never know, somebody can help. So never be shy or never be like hesitant to do so, because you never know what the next day is holding for you. So always try, even if it's like you're not sure if the other person would help you or not, but then there's no harm in trying, right? So always try. So network as much as you can. So for me, I actually am part of like so many teams other than where I was working as well. Like AWSN is like one of the groups I have joined. So I met people who were actually working at Microsoft in the event as well. So I got to know about Microsoft in the event as well, because I wanted to know like how the things are. What's the application process look like, or what the recruiter will ask me? What are the things that Microsoft hiring managers look for? So all these things actually helped me while I was actually making contacts in the events. So yeah, network as much as you can. Thank you.
Awesome. And maybe a question for everyone too. So I guess probably some students are interested to know like what type of questions should I like expect during the interview process, and how can I best prepare for them? I know Sunny, you're more technical, maybe you can answer some of those questions, and then Joe and Shafali for more like the sales or businessy sort of side of things.
Yeah, maybe let me start. So I think I would probably say there are no standard interview questions, because it really depends on, the hiring manager and the role that you're applying for. So just some tips on how to prepare for the interview. What I would say is that you could reach out to someone on the team and then ask for suggestions. If you don't know, anyone from the team, just try LinkedIn. And also, like, don't just focus on how to answer those questions, like try to put it in a different way. Like, what do you want to show the recruiter, right? So for example, if it's an interview, prepare something before the interview and tell them like, hey, I've prepared this based on my understanding of the role. Then do you have maybe 10 minutes to go through the contents and give me some feedback? That's, a technique that I'll use in my interviews.
I'll add as well, I think there's one really fundamental question that you're going to get asked probably in every interview that you do, that's really important to be prepared for. And that is the question of, why do you want to work here? And I think your answer to that question, obviously you can answer that question however you'd like, but it's probably important to have some knowledge of the company, what the company's values are, and how those values sort of resonate with you, and therefore why you want to work there. So without a doubt, I am pretty sure in 99.999% of interviews, you'll be asked that question. So I think that's one just to keep in the back of your mind and sort of be prepared for on the way in.
I completely agree with you both. So I think you guys have said enough already, so I don't have to add on anything on that. That is just superb.
Awesome. All right, just moving on to maybe perhaps questions about the company is, what was the most surprising thing that you learned about Microsoft after joining? Question for Joe.
I thought this is an interesting question, because I thought I knew a lot about Microsoft before I came in, and it turns out that I didn't. But maybe this isn't super surprising. Maybe surprising isn't the right word, but I have been sort of like pleasantly surprised by just how much Microsoft actually lives and breathes the values that they sort of talk about and say that they stand for. Particularly like their emphasis on diversity and inclusion, how supportive they are of people who are early in their careers, who are midway through their careers, who are returning to the workforce. Like, you name it, Microsoft actually does stand by the sort of values that they talk about. And another one is, you know, with Copilot, I think everyone's maybe getting a little bit of AI fatigue at the moment, and AI seems to be all that anyone is talking about when it comes to technology. But, you know, we really are encouraged to use Copilot sort of all day, every day. And that's not that I didn't expect it, but it just is amazing how much Microsoft actually does sort of stand by their values and stand by their products and encourage everyone to use, sorry, I got distracted by the message, to use the products and stand up, you know, for what they believe in. So that's probably been one of the biggest surprises coming in.
I really liked how you touched on the point on diversity at Microsoft. There's a lot of like groups that we have here at Microsoft that you can join as well. So there's say things like Asians at Microsoft or women at Microsoft that you can join and be part of, like organizing events and really promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace, which I think makes the whole working environment so much more comfortable and safe as well. Really good tips there, Joe. Thank you. And a question for Sunny is, since you've been here at Microsoft for 5 years, what are some of the most exciting technologies or maybe like projects you've worked on since being here?
I would say probably not the most exciting one, but I would like to share, the most impressive project experience in my career here. So because I'm a security technical specialist, and I think there was a project back in 2022 when one of my customers got hacked. So I couldn't share much because I've actually signed an NDA for that project, but I would say it's a very special experience because I got to work with a lot of, cyber incident experts here at Microsoft. And the work that we did for that project was impressive. We helped, the customer to identify the impact, clean up their environment, and also rebuild everything. So that's probably the most, special one. And what I want to say, in conclusion, is probably that what I learned is really amazing. And at Microsoft here, you get to work with a lot of people, even sometimes, a global team. So definitely that's something, that is really special. And I think the resources and the people that we have, it's not, a lot of companies could do that. So yeah, that's probably my answer.
And you're right about that. We have such like a warm and welcoming community here at Microsoft. Everyone is always here to give you a hand. If you don't know something, you can always ask a question and they're more than welcome to teach you. So awesome. Thank you, Sunny. Cool. I'll now open the floor to any questions. Feel free to pop a question in the chat if you have a question to ask any of our panelist speakers, or if you want to come off mute as well, that also works too.
Come on, guys. Ask as many questions as you can. Now
Ask anything. You can ask literally anything.
There's no silly question, just ask.
Oh, we've got a question in the chat. What is the pathway to become a Microsoft MVP? George, you want to take this question?
Hi, everyone. I'm George. I'm a cloud solution architect in the security solution area. I'm based in Perth, and I was just going to sit here quietly and let these amazing superstars shine. But I thought I could answer this question well. So a lot of the advice that you've been given around how to be a good candidate at Microsoft actually applies equally as to how to be a good candidate to be an MVP. A Microsoft valued professional is like one step away from being an employee. I mean, real talk, you don't get paid, right? But you're still a massive advocate for Microsoft, and the passion and the drive and the positive advocacy for Microsoft that an employee would have, an MVP would have. It's a bit of a chicken and the egg, though. You've got to demonstrate that you have that. So you just decide, I'm going to be an MVP, and then start blogging about your technology, or conference talks, or meetup talks, or YouTube or TikTok, or any media that you can do to get eyeballs on you talking about the tech, and being passionate about it and positive about it, is what you need to do. There is some criteria, but it's not like super rigid. I mean, I was doing a lot of conference talks around Microsoft technology. Some people don't want to do that, so they might just do one sort of smaller talk and then lots of blog posts. And, you know, some people might just run a YouTube channel. Once you've got your collection of, we can call it evidence, but, you know, like all of your activities that you've done this, then you need to actually be nominated. And you can be nominated by an MVP, or you can be nominated by a Microsoft employee. I do know that Michelle, who cannot be on today's call, absolutely loves to nominate MVPs, but she'll only do it if she thinks you're worthy. So if you're really, truly interested in being an MVP, start doing the things, and then reach out and like just send Michelle a message on LinkedIn saying, hey, I've started, you know, writing my blog or my YouTube or my TikTok or whatever it is you're going to do. And I'm really interested in being an MVP. Can you help me? And she'll be able to give you some advice, or at least introduce you to another MVP local to you. And that would be the best way to get started. But you won't get an MVP just by wanting to be an MVP. You'll get an MVP by being an MVP. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, George, for taking that one. We've got another question in the chat from Amy. Microsoft sounds like an awesome place to work for. Yes, definitely. What's the job opportunity in New Zealand, Microsoft, look like in your opinion? Yeah, really great question. I know that there are currently internships available. I think that might be Australia only. I'm not 100% sure. I can get back to you on that one, but we did get hired as part of an early in professions cohort. We do have someone actually located in New Zealand that got hired as a sales specialist. So there are opportunities in Microsoft New Zealand for early in professions or early in careers. Does that answer your question? Any other questions as well? Feel free to pop it in the chat.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chloe.
No problem.
Chloe, I might add to that as well.
Mhm.
Microsoft, where we work, is actually Microsoft Australia and New Zealand. Like, we're sort of one entity that all works together. And from that perspective, we have entire sort of customer segments based in New Zealand. We have offices in New Zealand. So there definitely are opportunities to join Microsoft ANZ. And we sort of all work together and all sort of contribute to each other's success across Australia and New Zealand. So definitely not alone over in New Zealand, we promise.
Sounds exciting. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe, for adding on to that. Have we got any other questions? We have a couple of minutes left. George, half my team is in New Zealand. How awesome. And Joe too. Cool. If no other questions, I'll just wrap things up.
I'll ask one question of the panel. Although we've got 3 minutes left, so it's like just the immediate first thing that comes, like, what's the best thing about working at Microsoft?
People and opportunities.
The people.
People
Yeah.
and the resources. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Awesome. just wrap things up. Thanks everyone for joining the call. Thank you. Huge thank you to our panel speakers as well for joining the session. All our sessions are recorded as well. So if you want to rewatch the session, past sessions as well, they will be uploaded on Michelle's YouTube channel. But other than that, thank you so much everyone for joining and have a great rest of the day.